Hello, I'm Karma Kitaj, and I'm your host for A Livelihood, New Careers as We Age. And today I have Sherry Fine with us, and Sherry has been generous enough to come here from New York today to be on the show, and she's going to talk to us about her many different transitions that she's made in her life. So I'm so happy you could come, Sherry.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you. So I heard about you from your friend, Susan Reuter, who was on this show a few weeks ago. And so I was very pleased that you could come. And you and she have something in common in that you both went to Tanzania, and we're going to hear about that a little bit later. But let's start earlier on in your life, because I know, as I said, you've been through so many changes and you've had really various different careers. I know it seems like they've had some theme of being an educator and a caretaker, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So early on, you told me in your 20s you went to the Peace Corps.
I did. I spent 2 years in Jamaica training teachers in a beautiful little coastal town called Port Maria. And my job there was to find what they call basic schools. And a basic school is for children anywhere from 5 to 7. Families might pay 10 cents a week, and teachers would kind of put up a shingle, say this is, and some of my teachers had third grade educations, but all of them were very earnest and very committed to the work. And
so you were training them?
I was training them, and then every 2 weeks we would all gather and I would give a workshop. And it was wonderful work.
And that was in your 20s?
That was in my 20s, my late 20s. And I was a teacher prior to and subsequent to Peace Corps. At that point, I'd had my master's in special ed and taught in the Boston Public Schools. At some point, a few years later, I received a degree from Cambridge College in counseling psychology and changed, still within Boston schools, became a bilingual school psychologist. I speak Spanish.
Yeah, so at some point, though, I know you told me you went through, made a very important decision for you that changed your life.
The most important decision.
Yeah, so you know what I'm going to say, right?
I do. I had always, ever since I was a child, I'd always thought that adoption was a wonderful way to create a family. And when I was in my early 30s, in the absence of that relationship, I very much wanted to be a parent, wanted to be a mom. And at the time, there were programs that were open for single people. I did look domestically, and that wasn't quite the fit. Some of the children that were offered to me were children with some very severe special needs, who would be challenges for the most resourceful two-parent family, and I felt if I really wanted to give a home to a child and address their needs and mine, that was not the route for me. One of my other dreams was to go to a third world country and spend some time in orphanage. And
so before we talk about the orphanage, though, we should maybe play a few minutes of this video, which is your the story that your daughter tells.
That's right.
So let's run that video now.
Okay.
Right? Okay.
I was a teacher for many years, adored my children, and felt that I had the capacity to love any child. It did not need to be a birth child.
I was born in Colombia, South America, and my grandmother over there was raising me.
One of the options was the country of Colombia, where they were placing older children above the age of 5 with single people.
And so one day my biological mother came and she kind of sneaked me out at night to take me with her, and my grandmother had told her not to. And she ended up going to a motel or hotel, whatever. I guess she had a job at night, and she would leave me at night. Like, this was maybe like, not a long time, like maybe a week or something, 2 weeks. And she used to lock the door. She was not mean. She was very nice. And she used to lock the door and kiss me goodnight and say, I'll be back in the morning. And one night, she just didn't come back. And the cleaning lady, she found me. And the cops came and they took me to the orphanage. And I was about 5, 6 years old. And I remember this. And I begged the cops to wait because my mom was coming back. And they waited a little while, but they didn't show up, so then they took me.
I got Jackie's picture, Jacqueline Moreno. My father's name is Jack, and it was clear to me that this was my child.
Thank you. So that's
my
your
daughter.
That's your daughter. Yeah. Now, people can purchase this on your website, I guess.
Absolutely.
www.sherryfine.com.
That's correct. And if you look in the link that says Forever Families,
Forever Families. Yeah.
All proceeds will be going to the foundation that I began for my work in Africa.
Yeah. So, this is part of our talking about your transition from, as you call it, retiring, which is not the kind of retirement that probably our parents yearned for, but you're doing some very meaningful things. And tell me, how did you discover the orphanage in Tanzania?
I found this book, Volunteer Vacations. As I said, I wanted to spend some time in a third world country working in an orphanage. And there were a number of options. I was very thankful to be placed at an orphanage in Tanzania, Arusha, Tanzania. Mm-hmm. And it was just a life-changing experience. I went out there on my own and found this lovely family that started with just a couple of children, and then at the time my first visit, there were probably 30 children there. 30 children who, by most standards, we would expect these children, given their backgrounds, to have some major emotional, psychological issues. Mm-hmm. They had been abandoned, abused, both physically, sexually. Mm-hmm. If something could have gone wrong, something went wrong in their very young lives. Mm. And they were the most compassionate, generous, loving little people that you could imagine, warm, and they just captured my heart. And
this is called Living Water.
Living Water Children's Center. And they don't call it an orphanage because it's a home, and they want it as such. The family that runs the center, there's a mother and a father, and the children look to them as mother and father, and then there are 4 sons. And again, if anyone is interested in more information, it's on the website under Living Water Children's Center.